Hey, welcome back everybody to another adventure, another exciting installment of 3D Buzz MMO Workshop class. There's truly Derek T. Stevens. Edit that out later on, Nelson. The T stands for too good to be true. And of course, my compadre, my lady in waiting, so to speak, my drinking buddy. The other guy's wearing the cowboy hat that matches mine, the same bunny slippers. Not for sure about the thong tonight, but Mr. Nelson. How you doing tonight, Nelson?
I'm doing all right.
Man, a few words. Short, sweet, to the point. But man, if you get him on code, he will rant and tear your ears up. I swear to you. Hey, last week we had a really exciting class. It was a great workshop. We really started nailing down a lot of ideas as far as environment. Steve Curtis came on board, got to share a lot about what his I guess, staff, his peeps are doing. Chelsea Curtis cannot make it tonight with us. She's another instrumental artist with us. But I have some of her work. I know Sid Curtis, the whole Curtis clan. I'm collecting Curtises. So if you're last name by Curtis, please send it to my P.O. box and I will come visit you and I will collect you as well. But Sid Curtis said she is working on something awesome and we'll try to get it done by class time tonight, which I hope she has got it done. I have not talked to her yet. But we'll jump into what is on my screen and your screen. Last week I promised two things, and I'm shooting at 50%, and I figured if I was a government at 50%, that's not bad. I've had a lot of work, lots of production work this week, some meetings. But what I did promise was some head tilts. We've nailed down what our Lethean chicks are going to look like. We've determined that, let me make my little pointer here, that the head shape is going to be, I guess, an egg shape, not really pointy, but nice and soft. And in my anatomy class, which will be coming up this Friday, I want you all there and spread it around. When we draw women, the biggest thing you realize is it's all about nice curves, nice, long, smooth stroke lines. Even if you zoom in, say here with this headline, a lot of people with a little bit of scratches here, we'll do a little bit of scratches, and you can see my drawing throughs here, but it's a nice, smooth line that comes down through here, because that's what reads really great for women. Nice and smooth. The men are very angular. You want muscles and muscle definition. And if you need reference, when I'm down at 3D Buzz, Nelson and I will be in our thongs and we'll take some pictures. We'll do some image planes. Anyone wants to model those, go for it. But we are chiseled. We're ready for the catwalk, the runway, so to speak. So with that said and enough silliness, my Lethean, the back shot, what I wanted to do was where the cranium, the head, the bones all come out here. How that point look from behind, and basic ear shape, nice little bit of an eyelash through here, jawline, and where the neck comes down. 3/4 view here. If you look, this ear here and this ear here do not look the same. Again, just playing around with different ear shapes. Can have a little fold right here. I like the sharp angular features mixed with a nice smooth roundness, because you get the feminine sort of beautiful look that we equate to beauty. Now, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I'm equating what beauty is to what Image, Marvel, and all that says. I'm not saying it's right, but that's the style. It's an American fusion sort of thing I'm doing, a cross between American art and anime. So I'm highlighting, or I guess working up angular features for the eyebrow, that nice arch through here, nice strong jawline, and just an indication where the cheekbones are at. Nothing super harsh because we don't want to look too gaunt. And then we come through here where our Lethean's looking over her shoulder. And again, notice the ears are different than here and here. Nice eyebrow shape, nice beautiful full lips, the nose, shoulder, where the back will go, the rhombal muscles. And then I start thinking about, well, this is great, draw image planes, front and side view, but for comic book purposes and to truly get what the gist of what our females and all our characters are going to look like, I wanted to do a head tilt up. So she's looking up or looking down at you. So the nostrils are here on the same plane. Let me get my brush out here. If you look from here to here, the nostrils are at and the eyes are at the same plane. Now, the 3/4 view, where the nostrils are out here and the eye line is here, distinct difference. But this is how you do a head looking down at you. And the ear is in a lower location and the mouth is up quite a bit. So then we do the basic side view for image planes. And what I have here to show you in a moment is Chelsea Curtis's beautiful image planes of a face. And again, I'm playing it around with different tattoo patterns, just a nice face. I like how this comes down through here, kind of a sharp angle, then again, nice, smooth, and round. So I'm trying to incorporate, let's see, I'm trying to incorporate both smooth and angular lines, because the way I perceive these individuals, these aliens, they don't live a harsh life, but they probably do not have a high fat percentage on their body. This chick right here, I showed it a couple weeks ago. I actually took a picture with my phone and showed it anyway. It was poor quality. So I decided to incorporate this with what I did this week for everybody. And if you look under here, where the head would be through here, the red indicates where the head's at. So all this is armor. It can be independent geometry for modeling purposes. It can be the same model. I'd have to talk to Nelson, Mr. Brainiac, and how to incorporate that. But I wanted to make her kind of a fighter. And immediately like, well, looky right here, she has all the skin exposed. It's not protecting her, and it's right. It's not. So maybe she's a light arms fighter, or maybe I'm drawing because I want to be sexy, cool, and sleek. Incorporating through here different geometry, where especially right through here where some stones can be incorporated, leggings through here that just take the straps are on. Again, through the stomach line, it's open, so if you had a sword here, or a sword, blah blah blah, don't want to be here. So again, I'm saying that they're agile creatures. They know how to fight, they know how to retreat, they know how to fall back if they need to. With that said, and then we'll later on we'll come back to the mounts that I've been kind of toying around with. But I want to incorporate Chelsea's image planes. And I want to say a great job, because image planes are not easy at all to incorporate. With image planes, you have a front view like this, the front view here, side view here. I'm going to take my brush stroke down a little bit. And if you look, what Chelsea did a great job is the top of the head here lines up the top of the head there. Even the nose from here to the tip here, top of the mouth to the mouth here, ear to the ear here. And the reason we do this is because that's vitally important for our modelers. A lot of 2D artists, they don't know how to model. A lot of modelers don't know how to do image planes or 2D art. So what I like to do is you keep it simple, stupid. You make it as easy for people to follow as possible. So when you incorporate into your favorite, 3D Studio Max, Maya, whatever you want to do, these image planes are all going to line up to make it easier for box modeling. I know there's a lot of other techniques that you can use, but I really feel really comfortable. I want to dumb it down as much as possible, make sure everything lines up as much as possible to make it easier for the modelers. So Chelsea, I know you're not here, but I hope you listen to this. Well done. I really love how she did the ear placement. I love her ear design through here. I definitely want to incorporate that with my drawings. The only thing I like to see, I'll change bullets, get out of here. My brush, just a second, we'll zoom into the front look. The only thing in through here, the ears look rather thin, like they could be yanked off. I like to throw maybe a little more dimension in here. She may have had it and just kind of doctored it up through here. I can see the line through here. I would make it just a little bit thicker. So with that said, I'm very proud of you, Miss Chelsea. Well done. Mr. Nelson, you there?
Indeed I am.
All right, what I want to do right now is I want to go through all the art leads. I believe Steve may not have anything or much to show tonight because I've had him busy on a lot of other projects. I know he hates me for it and loves me at the same time. But I want to take him in, show what the team has made so far. We'll discuss that. Then we're followed by Chelsea. I'm not sorry, Chelsea Sid, if she's here, talk about what her team is doing. Then we're going to follow up with Mr. Ray, and we're going to break down the comic book that we're writing, read a little bit of passages from it, and then what we need to do. Mr. Ray and I had a meeting a couple of days ago, and he's right. Whenever I get an art order in, sometimes things are so vague. I feel good because I get to make it up, but a lot of times I make it up and then whoever's paying me is like, well, I didn't picture that. Sometimes it's a happy accident. Sometimes my client's like, oh, I don't like that at all. So what I'm trying to avoid with especially some of the new artists working with us, we want to get things built from the ground level. So what we're going to do tonight is design the town at a very basic level, what the buildings may or may not look like. I want to get some ideas and some conceptual ideas from the people listening to us. I want some ideas of what some of the people maybe look like, some of the customs that we can draw and incorporate in. So we have a really big night ahead of us. And before we go to Mr. Steve, is there any questions so far? Go ahead and raise your hand in the comments, questions thing, and feel free to call in, then we'll go to Mr. Steve. I encourage questions because there's no such thing as a silly question.
No, I do not see anything.
Well, okie dokie then. Everyone must agree with everything I just said then. I'm on the right page. I am awesome.
All right, you ready for Steve?
No, but let's bring him in anyway.
Tyler Curtis also has his hand up. So do you want both of them or Steve first? Or Tyler first?
Let's do Tyler first. Let's make Mr. Steve wait.
All right. And he's unmuted.
Yeah, what are image planes?
Image planes, what we have here in front of us. Let me get the body image planes as well. Hold on, file, open. You're not supposed to see that. Hold on. I have lots and lots of crap in here, but it's all good crap. I say crap, I'm sorry, it's not crap. It is money, it is ideas. Where are my image planes at? I didn't expect you to ask that particular question.
Be more prepared.
I was prepared. Leave it to Curtis to throw me a curveball here. I need new glasses. Oh, here he is. Plane done. Here we go. Much like the image planes you just seen at the close-up of the face, everything lines up. Because what we do, and Tyler, where in the crap were you at? Because we did it this last class. That's all right. I'll go over it really quickly again for you. I'll get some red. What we do is we cut this basically in half and we incorporate it into our 3D program. I always start out with a cube, like this.
Oh, now I remember it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, well, let me answer it again in case someone else forgot. We start out with a cube. We have these little things called vertices. And actually what I like to do is split the cube down here like this. So I have vertex here, vertex here, vertex here, vertex here, vertex here. And I literally start to drag this all up through here so then it kind of looks like this. Then I'll bring these down here like this. But at the same time, I can't rotate this in 3D because obviously it's not 3D. As I manipulate the curve here or the vertices here, you can rotate in your 3D program. And this may look, may look something like this here. And you just start manipulating and pushing and pulling and extruding, and then you get your 3D model. So that's why everything is important to line up, because when you're really close up and you're trying to pull this ear from this image here, if you rotate it to the other side to work in 3D, you need to be able to see, the 3D planes. this ear and this ear needs to line up. You need to know where the eyes are at compared to this eye, to the chest, the pectoral region. If you come from here to here, it all lines up. Again, with the crotch area, and that's a little from here, it all lines up. So that's what image planes are. This really helps out 3D modelers. Now, a lot of 3D modelers out there, they don't need image planes. You just throw them a concept piece and watch them go to town. But I believe in workflow, our pipeline. Keep it simple, dumb it down, so even a beginner can do a really good job. That's my hopes. Did I answer it? How you doing? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You doing all right tonight?
Yeah.
All right. Good to hear from you.
Yeah.
We'll be playing Magic later on.
Good.
Next week. You'll kick my butt.
Next week.
And got to work. Got to pay the bills, feed the kids. You know what I'm saying? No, you're 17. But you better do your homework. With that said, bring in Mr. Steve Senior Curtis. And I do say senior with a pun and a smile on my face.
Alrighty. And here is Steve. And then I'm going to go ahead and just mute Tyler for now, but if you want voice again, just go ahead and raise your hand again.
All right. I had to jerry-rig a system because my main system went down. Can you even hear me?
What? I'm teasing. Yes, I can hear you.
Good. All right. Great. Okay, guys. Can you grab my screen, Nelson?
Indeed, I can.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Steve Curtis. He is lead artist for Environment and Weapons. And if you want to be part of that team, I always encourage you to get a hold of me or to get a hold of Steve. We'll give our email addresses out very shortly. Steve, you have the comm.
Awesome. All right. Well, as Derek said, I didn't have much this week. I tried today and ended up with only one basic picture done in about 10, 15 minutes right before class that I could even tolerate. But as is usually the case, when I've had a bad week here, Donald on my team has stepped in and saved the day.
Yay,
So if we could get Donald online with his mic, and we'll go through the pictures he's got here first and let him talk about those.
Alrighty. And he is unmuted.
Hey, how's it going?
Donald.
Hey, man. How you doing, dude?
Good, good. How you guys doing?
I'm great, man. I'm glad you're here this week. I'm glad. Actually, I want to hear about your workflow, your ideas, how you proceed with everything. I'm going to shut up now because I'm not your lead. Steve's your lead. Go for it, Steve.
You have no idea how happy I am you're here this week.
Yeah, I've been busy with work lately, so finally made it.
Alrighty, well, I loaded up your stuff here in Photoshop, and we can systematically go over those. So take it away, buddy.
Alrighty, well, this one I actually made in UDK with all the stock things that come with UDK, all the models and stuff, and I've been putting it together for a while. But the basic idea of this is kind of a foresty castle keep area, and the little tail-looking thing on the rock in the background maybe is from a giant dragon-like creature or serpent, maybe something kind of weird. The rocks kind of act as a fortification, a defense from these creatures. So this place is really well defended from all types of things. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm thinking about changing out the torches. Instead of having like a primitive torch, I'm going to have floating lanterns or something like that, bobbing up and down.
It might be actually kind of cool as well, have it floating, but floating crystals that will give illumination through there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And I'm probably going to change out the, of course, the brushes, the little blue and white things. I'm going to change those out to custom-made models, and probably that tower to give it a more alien look. But yeah.
What we discussed, probably like class 2, I really wanted to get like an alphabet down that is Elysian and symbols for earth, wind, and fire and certain magical things that we can start incorporating so we have, the same continuity with everything. Because if you could make those big-ass tiles with certain symbols, it could be a staging area for magical rituals or whatever. Just I find the small amounts of detail like that really add up and give flavor to stuff. So again, that's something else we'll have to develop in time, but I think that might be a good idea.
Yeah, I could have like that little area over on the right with the tree. Maybe it could be like a ritual ground with the stone with that symbol on
That'd be
it or
cool.
something. And
So back to game mechanics, say, and I'm just throwing this out here, but suppose this is like the starting out area, and this is where, and your mage or your Alethian is mastering fire, and we have the symbol for fire right there. Well, and in the 4 elements, then the player's going to learn that, and whenever they see that, oh, that's where I go for this certain magic. This is where I go to develop these certain powers or gifts.
yeah, you could train a specific magical skill at these stones maybe.
That's a good idea.
Maybe have them littered across the land, and as you go through and advance through different areas, you find these little stones that have the same marking for fire, water, or whatever, and you can advance your skill level there.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well done. Well
Lovely.
done.
All right, and Donald got back to some more concept work, so we will put that up.
This one was the little desert area I threw together, and I found a picture of a like broken down tree. So I'm kind of thinking maybe life prospered here at one time and something really bad happened, and there's remnants of life still there, like these little things sliding down the hill. I kind of wanted to make a creature that mimicked the stone in color, but acted kind of like a penguin on sand. So he's sliding down the hill.
All right.
That's kind of funny and cool at the same time.
Who doesn't like penguins?
Yeah. And they could either be friendly creatures or, they could be hostile creatures to that keep in the background. Maybe that's the reason they have that lookout tower, because these creatures actually attack them quite often.
Speaking of this, and I don't know if we can get away with this, but penguins are kind of like Jawas. I played Star Wars. You just want to kick one every now and then. I'm not saying I'm cruel, but also this goes back to, we also have to think, what age level do we want to do this? Sometimes I played WoW. Again, I'm a storyteller. I'm a role player. I'm a dork geek. But it's going to sound bad, but in my everyday life, I had to be so good and corporate. I wanted to be evil at night, so I wanted to be able to kidnap kids and push story. And if you're Alliance and you go to the Horde town, you can kill all of the Horde adults, but the little kids you can't activate. You can't activate. I always thought that was cheap. I'm just throwing it out there just to think. I mean, it's so politically wrong.
I think that has to do with the rating of the game, actually. I think if you have killing children in the game or even harming them, you've got to have like an adult rating.
Well, something to talk about. Something to talk about. I'm not evil. Do not
But
send
they
me
didn't
hate mail.
say anything about sand penguins, Derek.
All right, cool.
Yeah, sand penguins you can kick all day long.
No one tosses a penguin. Anyway, continue, please.
All right, this next one,
Ooh.
kind of a really desert Arctic land full of these jutting out ices or just something like that. I was kind of thinking about creatures, what kind of creature could live on here, and that little white speck in the middle of the bottom part of the screen. Yeah, that could be like a little fox or something.
I'm a huge Batman fan, and probably the last week I've seen 40 episodes of Batman Beyond, or I listened to them as I'm drawing. And I was thinking about the Batman video game. There's a certain part where you're going after Killer Croc, and you have to balance on these things as he's like tearing through. And I'd have to ask Nelson and those guys, but how cool would it be to that rock that's kind of like the way I picture and perceive and read this drawing is this could be very thin ice with some thicker ice on top. And your people, the playing characters, if they're in combat, I don't know how difficult it would be. Depending on where you're standing, your character starts to slide. So not only do you have to worry about movement, then you have to worry about spells and stuff as well. That might throw a different, interesting dynamic in it.
Oh, yeah, if we don't have spells being able to cast while you're moving, maybe you have a chance of slipping on the ice whenever you try to cast a spell if you're on that certain area.
That would be kind of cool. I'm all about making it difficult. I want to, because everyone's like, oh, it's vanilla WoW now, and it's all dumbed down. Personally, okay, two ways to look at that. I'm an adult. I have 2 kids. I work my ass off, and I don't even get to play freaking Xbox anymore. But if I go into WoW, I can't spend 15 hours a day like these kids can to level up and get the great gear. So that's the other thing we're going to have to talk about, balancing out. I'd love to have something for the casual player and the hardcore player as well. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah, definitely, because WoW actually done a pretty decent job for a while with the casual and hardcore thing. They had the hardcore modes for the dungeons out and the huge rating, and you could go in and do, maybe an hour's worth of dungeon runs for those casual players, and definitely need something like that just to draw in more people.
I agree. I love this piece. And everyone listening and watching right now, and I say this with a grain of salt because Steve and I have talked about, I can't do this. I can't conceptualize pieces of land like this. But all they are, going back to drawing 101, basic shapes. But you've encapsulated everything. It's a cold, desolate, lonely place. I would not want to be there. You did a great job.
Yep. Basically, that's what you start off doing, is you get interesting shapes whenever you're doing any kind of landscape design.
And Donald, your skills have just grown week by week. This is getting dangerously close to you could turn into a professional studio as concept art.
That's
I'm
what I'm
telling you
hoping
what,
for.
dude, seriously, my hat is at Steve. There's a project, all I'm going to say is NBC and HBO. That's all I got to say that Steve and I have been working on. And with that said, because everything that he's done from Drawing 101 to forcing him to think outside his comfort zone, the dude he's working with me to work with a high-end director and producer right now. And Donald, I'm seeing where you're getting really close. I mean, to the same thing. Your guys' skill sets have grown so much. Now, we all have artists. I want us all to remain humble. All of us have a lot to learn, and we'll get there. But it's so comforting to see you grow weekly. And that's what I hope everybody else who's listening right now. Well, I can't really draw. But you know what? Put your big girl, big boy pants on. Step up to the plate. We'll work with you. And in a week to 2 weeks' time, you will be amazed. Because I know Steve and I, Mr. Ray and I, and Chelsea, all my art leads and I were always in contact a lot throughout the week. And I know Steve and Donald talk, and my art leads and their people talk. It's a way of networking and kind of having like a safety net. This place, it's okay to try different styles, and it's okay to fail, and it's great when you succeed. The only person I'll make fun of is Steve here. I promise you, maybe Nelson every now and then.
And
But
Tyler.
anyway, and well, of course. Does he qualify as a person?
Wow.
He doesn't pay taxes yet, so no.
He's a deduction, though, so yes.
Okay. All right, I still love him. All right, anyway, continue, please.
This was the last piece. I was really, really happy with this one. It turned out to be really great. And I figured doing an Arctic scene, I wanted to do a little village, stay away from the castles and everything, and try out some of Feng Zhu's artist techniques and everything, and it turned out really good.
Yes, it did.
It did. And I want to tip my hat to Fang. Probably never meet the guy. Steve and I were talking, and, I'm supposed to be like a 3D Buzz instructor guy. I'm good. I can get better. But my hero is Fang, Michael Turner, and J. Scott Campbell from Danger Girl. These guys I look up to and my influences. And it's great to try to emulate artists. And what's really great, and I encourage you guys and gals to do, if you see a picture, you like it, look at it, analyze it, break it down so you can do the same thing. That's the way you learn techniques. And dude, explain how Fang showed you how to do this.
Well, I watched one of his recent tutorials or whatever on YouTube of him doing real-time painting, and I realized a lot of his structures start off as silhouettes, and
Yep.
then he just paints in values after that. So
Could that
I
be
took
like
that
the spot black silhouette training I did on sci-fi?
pretty
It
much.
could be.
It could be. Rock on. Hanging out on the same page, and you were doing great. And what sounds crazy, but your background there, what, especially, I guess, landscape artists, you need to know, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, please, and I know you will do it and laugh at me if I'm wrong, and that's cool. I'll cry later. But you have to have a background. Then you have to have a foreground.
And
And
you
then
have to have a midground.
And a midground. You have to have all these three things incorporating or encapsulating everything to give a good read. Your midground, those shapes are so freaking interesting.
Yeah. Like I said, I was wanting to do a just normal village where normal citizens and everything would live. A little market in the front, maybe a ware's house on the right side, and I wanted to get a unique texture because a lot of the stuff I've been doing was stone looking, and I wanted to get away from that, get more wooden look to it, and maybe this is some kind of unique wood that grows in, just these icy areas, which is why it's such a dark color. And yeah, I threw in the light at the end. I was sitting there thinking, it'd be pretty interesting to have a warm color in here because everything's so blue. And
Good job. Good job.
made an awesome little addition to it.
Let me ask you something on perspective. Some of the perspective works, some of it needs a little bit more work, but how do you work on perspective when you're painting the style?
Right now, I've been just, throwing it in as I go. I'll look at it and try to figure out my perspective, but I'm going to be taking a class here soon on perspective. And from what I've learned so far is when you're doing your basic rough draft, you want to throw in your perspective line, plot out your points, and then do everything from those points, which will really help me on my perspective.
Well, I am very honored and pleased that you're part of the team, and I really, I'm proud. 3D Buzz is great, but we're not the only resource out there. We want to make you all that you can be. I encourage everyone to use YouTube, take as many classes as you can, but with stipulations, you come back to 3D Buzz and you share what you learned, because that's what Buzz is all about. He wants to teach people, and we're all part of like the Buzz Army here. So whenever you do your class, maybe you and I and Steve can sit down and we'll just have a little talk about, hey, here's what you learned. This is what works. This does not work for you. And that way we can help other people learn different techniques as well.
Sounds good.
Hoorah.
A couple other things I want to point out that Donald didn't bring up on this that really, I was blown away when I pulled this up. If anybody's familiar with the rule of thirds, basically if you, stop that. If you cut your piece into thirds both ways, everywhere where those intersect are points that tend to be visually interesting. And if you'll notice, Don's path, his building, the building down here, the mountains up here, all intersect those points, which makes it really sucks you into this painting and wanting to see everything. I love the little hints at detail stuff like down here. I don't know if that's something hanging or what it is going on, but I want to know. I want to know more about what's going on here. And that's the whole point of concept art, is to get people asking questions and wanting to know more about what the story is being told. And lastly, if you look up at my screen on the high right in the navigator, this is a trick to use when you're doing concepts, is look at it really, really small. So I always keep my navigator up here. This thing pops really hard in that, and it just looks beautiful like that. That's what you're looking for. If it looks good like that, then you're onto something over here in the middle. And Donald, I just can't say enough. This is a great piece.
Yeah, that's also another thing I learned from Fang is if you've got a good thumbnail, got your colors down, your composition, that's pretty much your piece right there. All the fine details and everything are second. As a concept artist, you really don't even want to do fine details. You're pretty much just wanting to get your thumbnail down, get your read down, and that's it.
Yep, and you hit it out of the park here, buddy.
Indeed. And well, again, I hate to keep referring to Fang, but I've watched tutorials with him too, and I agree with him. A lot of my stuff I do, like all my illustrations, they start out with really, I guess the hardest part is to get the initial lines down, the gesture lines, because I need to make sure that the perspective's right. I need to make sure the muscle tones and stuff's right. But then the fun part and the easy part, where I can talk on the phone or watch TV a lot easier, then I can put details in. And I find more and more that I do my little silhouette spot black trick, it is so much easier to do that, to give hints and indications like you did here, Donald, that there's detail, but you can't see fine detail, because when you do line artwork, every line has to go someplace all the time, and it's a lot harder to do line artwork. So we'll discuss silhouettes more in detail later on, but Donald, you're onto something great. You keep it up, all right, dude?
Will do. Thank you.
Quite welcome.
And last but not least, I had my little 15-minute, which really ended up just being a color value thing. I haven't had time to do any more than that with it. But I wanted to start exploring the more deserty stuff because I hadn't really played around there yet. Played around with the atmosphere a little bit with the red sky. Thought maybe this atmosphere has some rings.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a great idea.
It's like a giant gorge.
It is.
And then I have some ideas for what else I want to put in here as far as living structures and why they are the way they are, but I just ran out of time before class started. So you'll see this one again when it's got a little bit more in it.
It's funny you say this. Again, going back to the HBO NBC thing, Steve threw me out a piece. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. I didn't even read his email. I'm like, I just send it off to the producer. I call him up. I'm like, dude, they love it. He's like, what? I'm like, they love it. He's like, it was a work in progress, idiot. He didn't call me idiot. He called me
It said WIP right on it.
You were having trouble with layers before, man. Because one of the pieces he sent me and his computer crashed. He's like, well, I don't have this. I'm like, well, I have a picture if you need it back again. He's like, well, it's not in layers. Well, I just thought like, hey, I did a piece and I have layers. I'm like, good for you, Steve. I'm going to send this off right now. So again, attention to detail. Sometimes I too get caught up in like not looking at that fine lines and of detail, and it gets me in trouble. So lesson learned.
There you go. And on that note, I think you got about everything you got from the environment team this week. Thank you for saving my bacon again, Donald.
Anytime. I enjoy it.
Great job, buddy. Great. But let's open up for questions. If anybody has any questions for the environment team, I want to hear them.
All right.
Throw out some ideas. We need some.
It looks like Mr. Wolf has his hand up.
Okay.
Wolf, all right.
And he's
Hey.
What's up, baby?
Hey, have you read any of the stuff in the forums that I've written yet?
I've read through it as quick as I could. I've been trying to cope with that computer crash on top of work, so I haven't been on too much. But yeah, I spanned through quite a bit of it. You have got some really awesome ideas.
Yeah, thanks.
I also think that when they get the design team going, just to eat up your schedule some more, you should be a part of that. You have some real strong design ideas.
Yeah, I would like to.
And that way we'll have
I
somebody.
don't want to take too much time away from this. What was it?
That way we have somebody on the inside from our art
Yeah.
side. 'Cause, you can't trust those design guys. They'll come out
You really
with crazy,
can't.
kooky ideas. I mean, eggheads, right? Brainiacs, whatever.
But hey,
Come up with
Wolf,
some
for anybody
crazy
who hasn't been on, can you kind of just recap some of the overall stuff?
Yeah, I was. Should I go into the Queen stuff or just go into how that applies to the?
No, go ahead and go into the whole Queen thing and nail
Okay.
that idea down.
Okay, my idea was that there would be different. I mean, every clan would have its own queen, and the size of that clan would depend on a few things, and the queen would be obviously the ultimate ruler, but like I was thinking that there would be some that would just be more like villages, like smaller clans, and then there'd be some that would be bigger, like city-states, and then the kingdoms, empires, kind of thing. And how I thought that would work would be that even though that there would be, I mean, a queen would be the ultimate power over her people, but they could still be in alliance and with other more powerful queens, and be like kind of a little bit, I suppose, more like maybe what a duke would be like, or something. But I mean, they would be in charge of their own city, or their clan, but they would have obligations to go to defend the other, the queen or the empress queen or whatever from from attacks, and probably pay money and whatever, tribute. There you go. That's what I was looking for. And so there would be all different sizes, and so the queen, like, I mean, sometimes there'd a clan could decide that they want to exterminate another clan, or they could decide that they want to actually take over that enemy clan. And one thing that they could do is have a challenge by one queen and accepted by another queen, and if that queen, and it's like the challenge that they would have single combat, and only one queen would be able to survive, and then they would be able to kind of consume as a part of their clan all those other clan members and grow in size that way. But of course it'd be very risky, because obviously they could die. And one of the reasons to maybe accept a challenge like that instead of just complete war is that then you have proven yourself as a queen in the eyes of the people that you're trying to absorb into your clan, because my thoughts were that, I don't know what the number would be, 20 or 30 Alethians could come together, and with the power they could make a woman from their tribe or whatever into a new queen. So then that would be a rebellion and stuff. So you have to really, as a queen, you have to prove yourself, otherwise they could leave you like that.
Definitely some interesting ideas to make the women, because they are ruling society, very combat oriented, but I also want to be able to have the women manipulate, because women do that so well. And with that said, not to cut you short, but we're right at the top of the hour, and what we can do is we can take a little bit more when you come back, and then I want to get Sid on here if she's here, and see what she's done. Then let you show your stuff. Take 10 minutes to do that. Then we've got to continue, because 10 minutes into the next break, 15 at most. Mr. Ray has got a lot we've got to share tonight. Again, I want to cut anybody else off short, but we only have 2 hours of time, and I want to make sure everyone gets their turn and shot. Before we go, let's open it up for any questions in the audience real quick. Is anybody there, Nelson?
It looks like Sid has her hand up. I don't see any questions.
Could I maybe, it could be after break, but have a couple minutes just to sum things up?
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll come back. You got 3 minutes to sum everything up, and we'll keep trucking on. Right. That's the other reason I encourage everyone to read the forums. What we're doing tonight, and I keep thinking it's Thursday, it's Wednesday night, is kind of a snapshot of what's going on in the forums. So definitely go to the forums, read, give your ideas there as well, and for God's sake, speak up, people. This is not my game, not Wolf's game, not Sid's, not Mr. Ray's. It is our game. With that said, let's take a 5-minute break, go potty, get in a drink, whatever you need to do, and we'll be back in 10. Hey, welcome back, everybody. I personally have ran 5 miles and did 15,000 fingertip push-ups on break, starting to sweat just a little bit, but I'm fine. Glad everyone made it back safe and sound. Right now, we have Wolf Knightley. He was talking about some interesting ideas and concepts about the Queen combat systems with the Queen, and we got some more with Mr. Wolf Knightley. Continue, sir, please.
Okay, so some queens and clans that they're just like small little village clans will be, I'm thinking, fiercely independent and not want to be overtaken or anything from any other of the clans. So what I envision them doing is having their village be stealthed. And I have a couple different ideas. I mean, it's just depending on the environment. I'm thinking of things like the Pueblo Indians, how they would have their houses built on the base of a cliff and being the same color as the cliff there, so it just kind of hides in there. I was also thinking that I was looking at a lot of pictures of ancient structures and stuff, and some of them have these really, they have trees because they've been abandoned. Trees have grown on top of the structures and they kind of hang off and they look really cool. And obviously a person's not going to want that because that's going to rip through their structure. And the tree will. But with the power, I was thinking they could make it so it can grow ever so, so it doesn't do any damage to the structure. I was thinking that you can do some really cool looking things and have these villages that just look like these beautiful natural scenes, but also with structures in there. And I have some really cool visuals that I'm going to try and draw. And so that's what I wanted to say on that.
Cool. That's actually a pretty good idea.
Oh yeah, and it also goes into some of my drawings. I'm kind of thinking of them as in camouflage, kind of like. But you'll see that when we get there.
All right. Well done, sir. With that, let's go ahead and bring Sid in. She is art lead for concepts for characters.
Alrighty, and she is unmuted.
Hello, Sid.
Hi.
You getting excited about coming down to the Buzz Cave?
Yep.
So am I. I'm excited. It's like excited to see everybody, and anyway, it's going to be fun. So what do you got for us tonight, girl?
I don't have a lot. I've only got 3 pictures. I've been pretty busy, but I tried to do a little bit last night and a little bit before class.
Well, let's see what you got and explain your work process and your ideas.
All right. Do you have my screen or am I waiting for that?
I'll go ahead and jump into you real fast.
Thank
And
you.
there you go.
Ooh, I like
Just,
this.
I was kind of doing kind of an aging thing from a small child to adult, and I was kind of thinking for the Aletheans to make them more alien-like and kind of give them the height difference to humans. Maybe their torso would be pretty human-like and not very long, but the neck and the legs would be really long. And because the women are, mothers and the leaders kind of, maybe they would be really hippie too.
Cool idea.
Just an idea.
I like it.
All right. This was just me
Beautiful.
trying to get back into the swing of things, kind of
Love
going
it.
along with Chelsea's designs, trying that out.
I love it. Looks beautiful. I love the. Okay, are these spots their skin or tattoos?
I was thinking either like spots or scales, something like that.
I love it. I love the color and I love the background that you put in there as well.
Thank you, sir.
Quite welcome.
All right, and I did not say I had something awesome in store. I said I was trying something ambitious. This was just sketch ideas, and it was ambitious for me because I don't do all the different angles and stuff most of the time, but these were just kind of ideas for like how they would attack, doing a lot of leaping and using their feet and the claws and stuff.
Nice.
Those action poses are real good.
I'm impressed, girl.
Thank you, thank you.
You've
I
got a
approve
really
this
good
message.
Well done. I really like that idea of grabbing onto the head with the feet. Because, I mean, you can whip your body around and flip them around and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yep.
That's exactly how I was imagining it.
All
Well
right,
done.
yeah, that's what I've got.
Not
Cool.
bad
Now
at
we
all.
get to invent a new martial art too. We're awesome.
Elysian foo.
Tofu.
Ooh.
Tofu. Wow, nice.
Yeah, they could just slice you in half with their feet or their, that I wouldn't want to fight with them.
Not at all. All right. So
Do you want to
Chelsea,
see my screen?
I do.
Oh.
But Chelsea, I want you to take the lead right now. Talk to Wolf, and pick his brain about what he's doing.
You
Yeah,
meant
do
Do you mean
Sydney?
Sydney?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you mean Sid.
I'm sorry. I'm old and I don't sleep a lot. Sid, take it away.
Am I waiting to see what Wolf has done, or what?
Yeah, we're going to take Wolf's screen here in a second.
Okay.
Nice.
Working off your image planes. I took a screenshot and then I enlarged it so I could draw over it
Really well done.
and put markings on it.
Right, Chelsea, I'm shutting up. Talk. Pick
My
his
name's
brain.
Sydney.
Damn it. Can we edit this out? Seriously. I'm writing down right here, Sid, S-Y-D.
I think you need to start owing me $0.25 for every time you call me Chelsea.
Make it $1.
Sid.
Profit.
Sid.
Make it $0.25. He doesn't make that much.
I don't make that much. Sid, I love and respect you, and I think you're awesome. And you can donkey punch me and you see me, okay?
All right.
All right, Sid, please take it away.
I like the very contrasting colors. What did you see this guy as kind of like a fighter, or what position did you see him in?
Well, yeah, I mean, he looks like a fighter to me. I thought that these markings would be natural and be kind of camouflage. I mean, they could also be showy depending on what color you do and what the environment is. I mean, they could be there to attract mates, but I like the idea of it being camouflage. I've tried different colors. Actually, I think this kind of pops more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does.
Well, I also want to commend you on your shadowing too, but
Thanks.
I don't know for landscape and stuff if we're sticking to more earthy colors or if it's going to be brighter or what, but if they were more earthy colors, this is just my opinion, but I would like to see like the color of the purple be deeper and the green be a little more greenish brown. I really like this last one, the purple and the darker purple. I like how that blends together.
Nice.
So
Really good job.
I like that green too.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that there'll probably be stuff that look more Earth-like, and it would be nice if there were areas that looked more alien-like. So it probably depends on where they're located, what kind of camouflage that they would have.
I
That would
really
be a
like the
good
blue
water
one
dude
too.
right there.
You know, again, geeking out and watching Batman Beyond, he has this ability to cloak, kind of like the Predator. You can still see a silhouette. Were you insinuating? I love that one right there, dude. Seriously.
Ooh, green's good.
Insinuating with the different, is this an ability that they'll be able to have, almost like a chameleon? If they're in a certain surrounding, they will camouflage themselves like that? Or is this an everyday marketing, whatever region they're from?
I was thinking regional, but there could be a class with that skill to do that. So I mean, it's really
Hey, Nelson.
whatever.
Hey, Derek.
How you doing? Is that possible? Would that be too much code to be able to, for a skill like that? Because I mean, like the thief in WoW, you can go invisible. Other people can't see you depending on how close you are, yada yada. Is that too difficult?
No, going invisible is pretty straightforward.
Cool. All right, good to know.
This one's you know, it's kind of I like the skin color. Almost seems a little more real, but it also seems or I don't know, not real, but Earth-like. But I kind of see it like stone and in some kind of a snowy environment or something that could be.
Yeah, in an icy mountain,
Yeah, I
that guy
can
would
see that.
disappear.
Yeah, he'd blend in real well with some dirt and snow.
Yeah, if it's and a more stony, dirty, dirty.
You're a dirty alien, aren't you? You cheeky monkey.
Yeah. Then I
Sorry.
just did it. Took it off the things to.
Well done. Let's open up for questions. Anybody else out in the panels right now? Come on, step up.
This is my
Oh,
this
I
is-
love that.
this is my favorite skin color so far. I like all the. I think this should definitely be a place, and I actually think I like this one a little better.
Hey, Wolf, what I want you to do, seriously, put these guys using Photoshop, make a character sheet. Maybe make it's like make sure it can fit. Well, actually, I'll make sure it fits an 8.5 by 11. But put them all down because I want to blow these up and show them to Jason. I want them on their own poster board.
Sure. All right, check this out. All right, it's more plain, and then boom, check out the hair.
I like the hair.
I finally learned how to do a braid or draw a braid. But
That is so cool, Wolf.
Yeah.
This kick-ass dude. I am so proud of you.
thanks. Yeah, it really, God, it just adds. So it's like a lion's mane or something. It just adds so much. I was actually thinking of like kind of a horse. It's called a horse's mane, isn't it? Yeah, the kind of that goes kind of similar. Not really the.
Not the braid, but the hair going down the back.
Exactly.
Yeah, that
You
streamline.
know, I mentioned that, but look, I mean, look how much. It's like this looked really cool before, but now it looks kind of plain. And then you come here, and then you go boom. It just got boom style. I was thinking it could on the front view, it could even some of that could kind of flay out a little bit and be seen, but I didn't have time to do that. And then,
Dude, I love it. Well done. And I want you, again, I want them all on a single page, and, you know, I'll print them up and have them put on the poster board. But well done.
Hey, Wolf, did you ever think about taking that hair and actually making it go down the back more? I think that could actually look pretty cool, too.
the main parts.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I was kind of envisioning it to going down maybe in between the shoulder blades, but
Yeah.
I didn't envision it going down more. But yeah, I mean, it always could. You think?
Do
I
a
think
couple
you
with
could
them
try
on there.
that.
What?
Yeah, like Sid, thank you very much. I got the name right. Like Sid said, go ahead and try them out. This is the concept phase. You have brought my drawings to life, man. I love it. I love being a small piece of this creative puzzle we're putting together. This is awesome.
Right. This year, I tried. If you could see, I did some other. I was thinking, well, I don't know. It doesn't have to be the same. You know, it could be if they're very stealthy, they'll want that to be the same color. And oops, that's not. And I was thinking it could also, like I said, it could be to attract mates. They could do some other stuff. But then again, this right here, that was kind of supposed to be an example of that. Then I was thinking, well, on this planet there could definitely be spots where this could be stealthy. So it
Well
could
done.
be either way. And if they are, assuming that they don't all they're not chameleons. If they ever step outside their environment, then they're going to be very showy, and maybe they step outside their environment to find a mate or something. And I don't know. Anyway,
Great ideas.
What do you think? What do you think of the design for the
I like the
skin
layout
stuff?
of it. I
Do you
think
guys like the
layout's
skin
very cool.
stuff?
I really like the very pale one.
It's one of the coolest things about Darth Maul was his tribal markings that he had. If I'm going to be an alien now, I want to be one of these guys with all the cool tattoo-looking things on them. And Nelson, would that be hard to code a random generator as you're creating your characters, like hit the random button and things just go all crazy and everywhere like that?
Well, I mean, the difficult part of that would be actually creating the customization to begin with, or allowing for customization. But then once that's done, having a random button is just a matter of randomizing all those parameters. So
You would have a lot of preset art before you had, you wouldn't be able to randomly generate all that stuff on him, would you?
Yeah, I think if you did it random, it wouldn't look as good. I think if you had different presets to choose from, that would be pretty cool.
Definitely. Wolf, I'm proud of you. Sid, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think everything he's done is pretty darn good.
Amen to that,
Keep
sister.
going.
Amen.
Amen.
So there's nothing you would change about
No, not a darn thing.
the marks?
My only suggestion was taking the hair down a little bit, but
Yeah, I'll try
everything
that.
else is great.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to recapitulate or re-surmise, or what sort of looking for, Steve? Help me out here. Went brain dead.
Recap?
Recap, thank you. Wow, really tired. I'm going to recap. From the very beginning, we had kind of a set idea with these guys, what they're going to look like. And through all these classes until right now, we started refining more, and Wolf came up with the idea of the point on the head, and I incorporated that with the image planes. The elongated sort of torso of like almost 8 instead of a 6-pack to help them make him look lean and tall. The strong legs, we always wanted the bigger hands. Chelsea was a very integral part of the feet. Sydney, I'm getting the name right, has been brilliant on just the different poses, the ears, the aquatic creatures she's come up with. This will blow your brain out. And then Wolf was very adamant about adding the hair. And I just want to say that it's taken a whole team to get where we're at right now. Man, I'm pleased. I'm happy. I'm glad to be happy. I'm so happy I could just do a double flip and smile right now. I'm that happy. Well done, the entire team.
Indeed.
Okay, with that, I don't want to cut anyone short because you guys, seriously, everyone stay online because I want to hear Mr. Ray here. Steve, you get ready. Go ahead and take Steve's screen for me, Mr. Nelson.
alrighty.
Yeah. Because what we're going to do is we're going to talk more about the comic book, what we're going to be doing. And it kind of, rolls into what Doug was talking about. That whole sort of little cityscape, not a big sprawling castle, but we're going to try to come up with some ideas right now about what should be or should not be in the city. So is Mr. Ray available?
Blah, blah, blah. Yep, and he is unmuted.
Mr. Ray, baby, what's up? Well, Derek, it's nice to hear from you today. Mr. Ray, you sound like Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
Well, actually, Derek, I want to ask how your mom's doing today, Derek. What? Mr. Ray, stop that. You're a married man. You there, Mr.
He
Ray?
is unmuted, so he might just be having mic problems.
Well, poop on a cracker.
Have you ever
You get that chirp
done
chirp
that?
sound?
It just
He's
sounds
talking in buzz,
unsanitary. He needs to have his mic on. I don't know what that means. My suggestion to advice to him would be to turn it on.
Thank you very much, Nelson. And I want to ask how your mom's doing
I
tonight.
can't hear anyone talking either.
Apparently he can't hear anyone talking.
Oh, that's not good.
Maybe he should rejoin the webinar.
Yeah.
We have a technical
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to go ahead and
difficulty.
pause the video while we figure this out.
All right. Hey, and we got Mr. Ray back. Mr. Ray, what we're going to do, he and I discussed a couple of days ago more the comic book idea. And we talked about the ways that Marvel does their comics compared to DC. And again, we have a lot of young artists here, which nothing wrong with that. But instead of giving a page synopsis of, okay, page 1, Wolverine kicks Gambit's ass. Page 2, what Mr. Ray is going to do is basically a recipe book. Panel 1 is this, and this is what's in that panel. Panel 2 is this. This is what's in this panel. And there's 5 panels that make up this page. So no matter who reads it, they'll get the same information. And that led me to ask him, actually it was him because he's way, way smarter than I am. And he's like, we kind of need to build the city. And I'm like, I agree with you, because as an artist, a lot of times I get art orders, but they leave certain key things out. I'm working for a dude in the Netherlands right now, actually. He's like, okay, I need you to draw. Shh, stop that. I want you to draw a knight waking up, and he thinks he got hit by his friend, the evil knight. That was it. And I couldn't do jack poop about it today. I'm like, okay, that's great. I mean, I did their concepts for the evil knight and the good knight, but where's this setting at? What time frame is it at? I need a little bit more information. And that's what Mr. Ray and I'm going to talk about. And when Steve has his screen up, he's going to draw some of the things that Mr. Ray comes up with ideas, and some ideas for everybody else in the panel. I really want you guys in the panel to challenge you to challenge Mr. Steve tonight, because he called me a rather rude name for calling him 20 minutes before class. And, hey, I got a great idea. Why don't you draw live tonight?
Yeah,
And
imagine my reaction.
it rhymes with wick. That's all I want to say. Mr. Ray, take it away.
Okay. One thing I need to sort of set to frame this is the game and the comic have two very different dynamics. They've got to work together. They can't conflict with each other. But the things you do in a comic are not practical to do in a game. For example, you're going to have a whole series of characters. Each one is different. Each one is an individual. That's hard to do in a game. You're going to have a certain amount of customization for your character, but they're not going to look all that different.
Right.
If they are a particular type of character, they're going to be quite similar, not necessarily so in the comic. So if we're going to move forward on the comic, we have to nail down a number of things. One is the characters, and per Derek's suggestion, I posted an alphabetical list of characters and a little bit of how I see them. None of this is in stone. If somebody comes up with something that seems to work better, that's great. I honestly don't care what they look like, as long as they can express an emotion and interact with each other. They have certain kind of personality, but that could be shown a number of different ways. We're also going to have to essentially build sets for the comic book characters to act in, which I guess goes into Steve's area. And we also have to have a pretty good idea of what the social structure is. Now, we've been talking about some things tonight that might change the way I was looking at that, and that's fine, but we do have to nail it down. I was thinking in terms of there was a tribe and within the tribe there were various clans, but within any given village you'd have people from a number of different clans, you'd have people from a number of different guilds and so on. It's okay if we make each village a single tribe. We just have to work that out. I had figured each tribe would have its own earth, air, fire, or water symbol and so on. Again, whatever we do in the comic has to shake hands with what we do ultimately in the game. So we need to get that nailed down. What I'm currently thinking about, aside from social structure and aside from the characters, which I posted up, is the following scenes. Scene 1 takes place on a street in some town. Could be a city, could be a village. It's just a town. Scene 2 is in the center of town. They have a circular area, and that's where the bonding ceremony with your soul stone takes place. That's scene number 2. Scene number 3 is school. The kids are in school and they're learning how to use their stones, and they're learning a little bit about the history of how soul stones came about. The next scene, our heroine is having a big fight with her mother in a home, whatever the interior is, because she's going to be going out the next day on her quest, and she's probably going to die because she can't make her soul stone do much of anything, and she's going to be facing some deadly challenges. The scene after that, and I think what I'm going to do is write all of these down and the way I did the list of characters. The scene after that is at the place at which she goes off to her quest, from which she's teleported to her quest. I, a while back, showed sort of an inverted Mayan temple. Again, doesn't have to be that. That was just an idea I had, but we do have to have a scene for that. Then she is on a desert island, a small desert island, and she's facing the assassin who gets his freedom if he kills her, and the only way she gets off that island is if she kills him. And by the way, Wolf, your guy would be fabulous as that assassin. I mean, that's the guy. It's scary looking. The next scene, she's in a fairly interesting little glade with a pool and a stream and a lovely bird singing, and she walks down a path and comes to a rock wall that has a door in it. She has to figure out a way to get in the door because the forest behind her just got on fire. And if she doesn't figure out how to get through the door, she's toast, literally. The next scene, she's standing on a small piece of a small ledge on a sheer cliff with a little rope and plank, a suspension bridge across a big chasm. She has to get to the other side, and there's a magician trying to keep her from doing that. And then the final scene before she comes back after her quest is she's in a deep canyon that has no exit except to go into the hive, where there is lurking a dangerous queen who has all of these poisonous people around, not people, but insect kind of beings that are about the size of a Shetland pony, that all of them deadly, and the queen is the most deadly. And she has to figure out how to defeat the queen in order to finish her quest and come back to the place where she started. So those are the scenes that we need to come up with. We don't have to show every single piece of Alethea. We don't have to show every tribe in Alethea. We don't have to show every climate in Alethea. We just have to figure out one town with one tribe or clan and one set of places that they would send someone out on an adventure. Down the road, for other stories, for the game itself, we can have any kind of landscape. We can go If you think about Superman, you have Smallville, you have Metropolis, you have the Fortress of Solitude. They're all vastly different environments, and we will ultimately be doing that. But right now, we need to decide the characters, the bones of the story, places that they're going to be in, and what the social structure is they're working in. We can't do the comic until we have those things nailed down.
I agree. So where do you want to start out? Where do you suggest we start out, Mr. Ray? Tonight, with Steve drawing.
Well, if we want Steve to be doing some speed drawing on this, let's start with the town square where the bonding takes place, because the first scene is a street scene. If we figure out what the buildings look like, the street scene is a street scene. So if we had the circular area in the center of town, that is where everyone gathers around to watch the child bond with the soul stone. They get 4 or 5 stones in front of them. The one they pick becomes their soul stone. And so everyone in the town, when this happens, gathers around. The head mage is there, or the mage for that clan is there supervising this. So that's the environment. The first one that probably needs some thought.
All right, so if they do this stone thing constantly, that's probably a ceremonial type place. What are you envisioning in your head?
Yeah, it's in a very important part of the town. That's why it's right in the center of the town, and it's a place where every single person at about 1 or 2 years old goes to be bonded to their soul stone. It's a big deal.
Alrighty, circular or square?
I was thinking a circle, but
Circular
so
would be
was I.
more, or a little bit better for alien-like structure.
Okay, now here's a disclaimer, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of people out there like to pre-record their stuff, and they do it, and it looks nice and slick, and you don't see all the mistakes because they fast-forward it. What we're doing tonight is I did put Steve on the spot, and we talked about Ender's Game last, class. I believe in Ender's Game too, where I throw as much crap out at my artists as possible, within reason. I never want to set anyone up to fail, but I will push you. I will push you out of your comfort zone. That's what I'm doing to Steve tonight, because I believe he's got some really great ideas and some potential to be able to teach some of his skill set to other people. So with that said, tonight, right now, you're taking an example, or he's taking an example, of his speed drawings are at Ray's, I guess, instructions. And this correlates beautifully for our class, the MMO Concept Art class. This is exactly like whenever you get an art order. I find, I'm not wasting time, but you keep working, Steve. I find whenever I get a new job, I get so ecstatic. I'm like, all right, I got a new comic book I'm going to be doing. All right, this is going to be awesome. I'm like on cloud 9 until the work starts. I'm like, oh, crap, this is going to be 25 pages of sequential artwork. And I'd never drawn these characters before, and I really don't know what they look like and how to draw them. And so the exciting part is the start. And now where Steve's working, this is work for him. So, Steve, if you can, explain what you're kind of thinking and what you're doing.
Well, I'm just picturing it, like Ray said, a circular area, maybe a raised little area for the stones to go in when they have to pick them. And I also have to throw in the caveat that apparently with GoToMeeting running, my computer is going to lag to a screeching halt while I'm working. So.
Yep, you're on Windows 8.
Yeah.
Yep.
This would be a perfect time as Mr. Steve is working. Do we have any questions or comments right now from the audience?
Or ideas.
Or, yeah, ideas. Definitely need some ideas.
There's a discussion, it looks like, right now going on in BuzzNet. So what's the benefit of choosing one particular stone over another? Is there a downside you get by not choosing stone A instead of opting for stone B?
Yes. In fact, the wealthier people do their best to get their hands on the 4 or 5 best possible candidates for their kid, so their kid, no matter which one they pick, it's going to be at least a good one. As a matter of fact, the opening scene in the story, if you go read that, has a friend of the mother of the heroine bragging about how her son got the most expensive stone. And then she says, oh, and by the way, your daughter's going to be doing this next week, right? Isn't she? Oh, I'm sure she'll do just fine. Meanwhile, our heroine's father is a poor craftsman, and he's done the best he can, but he's got 4 pretty ordinary stones, and he's pretty embarrassed. He's telling his wife, well, it's the best I can do. But yeah, if you get a cruddy stone, you don't have as much power and types of magic as someone who got a really great stone. And if you pick the wrong one, the stones tend to call to the children. And sometimes when they pick a stone that people think is the wrong stone, later on it turns out it was actually the best stone for that person. But that's sort of all of the stones call the child starts calling forward, one of them calls more strongly than the other, that's what they get. And that sets a large part of their fate for the rest of their lives.
Does that answer your guys' question in BuzzNut?
Let's see. What is the difference between the available stones that they are offered to pick from? For example, if there's 5 awesome Rich Boy stones, are they identical in what they can provide?
No. These stones are, if you go back to the initial premise, a silicon-based life form evolved at the same time as a carbon-based life form. And the Elethians are the carbon-based life form. They're like us. But these crystals are alive. They have personalities. And I stress they're not necessarily all that intelligent. It's more like the relationship that a person would have with an ox or a dog or a horse. And if you think about that, some of these stones are going to be more like teaming up with an ox. Other stones might be like teaming up with a bear or teaming up with a wildebeest or even a meerkat. If you let your imagination sort of run that way, these things are alive. Everyone is unique. And the Elethians try to see if they can figure out from the look of the stone what would be the best stone. But there's still a lot of guesswork to it. It's as much art as it is science in trying to figure out which stones you should put in front of your child. Your child will pick one of them. It may not necessarily be the one you expected. So that's why the richer parents, they go to the stone gatherers and they try to get what they believe are the best stones for their children. And the poor people, they can get stones from the stone gatherers, or they can go out and try and gather stones themselves for their children. But they have what appears to be a bit of a handicap. Now in our story, as our heroine, as a baby, is going for the stones, a person standing on the sidelines tosses a 5th stone into the ring. It's very different and looks very different. And she grabs that one, much to her parents' consternation, because nobody knows what this stone will do for her. And as we go further into the story, it appears it's a pretty cruddy stone. She can't get it to do much of anything. It's and by the time she gets ready to go on her quest, that's why she thinks she's going to get killed. I can't get my stone to do anything. I can't get it to start a fire. I can't get it to teleport anything more than 6 inches. I'm going to die. So that's how, that's sort of how I'm viewing how this relationship goes. And then there's more down. It turns out further on in the story that she actually has the best stone of them all, but it takes a while for her to figure that out. And as Wolf points out in,
I have a question.
BuzzNet, your soul stone becomes part of you. It's actually bonded to you physically, but through it, you can interact with other stones. So for example, let's say your soul stone is like a shepherd dog, and it can then herd the sheep to get them to do something for you. And you have a strong relationship with the dog, less of a strong relationship with the sheep, but the dog helps you make the sheep do what you want. It's that kind of a relationship between the soul stone and other living stones.
So what I like about this whole entire idea about the stones is it's vague and it's not vague. It's just an idea I've never even thought of before. Because we think of stones as, I have this pet rock, and he talks once a day, and I'll sell it to you right now. He can't talk. He's already talked today, but I promise you tomorrow he'll talk. You're like, it's just a stupid stone. It's hard for us, or hard for me, to conceptualize as I just see stones. But the more and more I listen to you, Mr. Ray, the more I love and can see and almost hear these stones, how they're talking to you and influencing you.
Well, now, Wick asked about the game mechanic side of it. Actually, I only came up with the idea to explain why Alethians have magic and humans don't. Humans didn't have the silicon life form evolve on their planet, so they came up with a whole different kind of technology. And when they ultimately meet, they're probably going to be jealous of each other's technologies. But the technology on Alethea is based on the stones, and that looks like magic. So anything that you would want to do in a game that's magical, you can attribute it to stones. You can make the game mechanic work that way. It's a device to explain why this group of walking around human-like creatures can throw a spell at you, lift you up in the air, or transport themselves across the continent, and the humans can't. Now, a question might come up, would a human ever be able to bond with the soul stone? We don't know the answer to that yet. That might be something you'd work into the game down the road. Maybe a player could become a human stone user, a human person with magic powers. We'll have to see where that goes, but this is just a starting point.
I have a question. You talked earlier about the soul stones allowing you to use other like secondary stones that could be attached to things like armor and weapons and stuff. Is that still that's still being planned for?
Yeah, and for a gameplay, obviously that's a way you can earn more power. You can get your hands on additional, you can get your hands on a stone that your soul stone can use to enhance your ability to throw a fireball or something like that.
Yeah, like so you could maybe attach it to a sword, and the stone could have a power of fire. So your sword now then has fire damage as well as physical damage.
Exactly, or it could be on a bracelet, and and if you're wearing that bracelet, that allows you to cast the spell or throw the fireball or the lightning bolt. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what Wick was.
And you could have stones that gave shields more power than regular shields, and if we were going to have shields in your combat. Or you could have stones that made your armor more powerful. And you could have stones could get tired. You know, they're living organisms. So there are a lot of ways you can work this into a game mechanic. It's just limited only by your imagination. It's just a construct that you can work from.
But no, to be clear for Wick, if you didn't have the soul stone, you could not use, even if you had that stone attached to a sword, you wouldn't get the magical bonus.
Alethians who have lost their soul stones are pitiable creatures. That could be, next to dying, could probably be the worst thing that could happen to you. Now again, will we permit that to happen in the game is another issue. But yeah, the magic comes from having a soul stone, because the stone, the silicon life, works at the quantum level. That's why it's actually technology. They can literally form matter, move matter, create miniature black holes, turn channel funnel energy. They don't need to have a laser, which by the way works from a crystal, because their stones can take light and make it coherent almost by thought. So if you think about it that way, and prior to, in the story that I'm doing for the comic, 1,000 years ago, one little girl took a chance and bonded with one of these stones, because everyone was afraid of them before that. Because if you mess with them, they burn you, they shock you, they knock you down. Then she became close to an outcrop of these, of a living stone. And one day it dropped a lobe in front of her, and she bonded with it, and she became the first Alethian to actually be able to do magic. And it was from her that everyone else learned.
And that's not to
Are
say.
you thinking that? Go ahead.
I just want to interject. Some of the powers, as far as game mechanics are concerned, like opening portals and doing these big grandiose things. Playing characters may or may not have those, but we can use them for story-driven ideas. I would like to see, and I loved playing warlocks or having a warlock in my team in WoW. You're going to a quest area, and the warlock opens up a summoning portal. So no matter where you're at, you can be summoned to that point instantaneous if you have 3 other people helping you out. I can see that for game mechanics. Some of the other stuff we may not want playing characters to have, but we could use it for quest, some of the bigger grandiose things. Make sense? Anybody there?
Sure, Derek, makes sense.
Okay.
Well, one of the things that we talked about earlier on, because this sort of stemmed from Derek asking me, how do you come of age? And you come of age in Alethea by going through this quest that our heroine is going to go through toward the end of the story in the comic. And we talked about that might be Noob Island. Noob Island might be someone coming into the game. They get to pick from some stones, and to a certain extent it would be the luck of the draw for them. They would get, all the stones would give them something. Some might give them more than others. And then once they had their soul stone, they would be sent on a quest, and that quest may vary depending on which stone they picked. But that's how they would learn the mechanics of the game. They'd go on some adventures and face some puzzles to solve and some foes to overwhelm. And if they are successful, then they enter into adulthood. They go through whatever ceremony we put in front of them, and now they can go into the main game. So that was something we talked about. Again, all of these are just ideas and suggestions. But where we are right now is, if we're going to do the comic, we have to at least figure out the social structure and the physical reality for one tribe or one clan and one village, and where this young lady goes on this one quest. And from there, we can go anywhere later on with the game and with other stories. But if we're going to do the comic, we got to zero in on that sometime in the not too distant future.
I've got another question. If are we thinking that the Soul Stone makes you the class you are? Like it makes you a mage if you attach to a Soul Stone that is.
It could. I mean, that's one of the things I think everyone's going to have to determine. I can go any way with this. I'm not trying to be to dictate it. I came up with a basic idea, and I've actually been a little sad that I haven't had much discussion on the parts of this that I have put up in the forum, where people are asking these kinds of questions and challenging it. Well, what about this? What about that? I very much would like to have more of that before we get too far into this.
Ray, we should Skype sometime.
Real quick,
Discuss that.
because what I also want to do is, Nelson, anybody else have any questions or comments on what's going on right now? I'm glad and I love that we have the same people because it's a great core team, but I want to incorporate and grow. Does anybody else have any questions or comments they would like to speak of? This is just type. Raise your hand.
I have a comment or a suggestion if nobody from the webinar or the
Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody
Postman
raising
has
their
anything.
hands.
All right. My idea, instead of having a classical class selection screen where you select your character and everything and select what you're going to be, maybe Noob Island, when you go and finally get that one stone, maybe that stone determines your class. So the class selection kind of integrates you in so you can try out all the different classes to determine which one you're going to actually like better.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause I
remember there's going to be a vast difference between the gameplay and the story.
Yeah.
Because in the story, nobody gets to choose these things. They just happen. Whereas in the gameplay, you have a lot of choice. And so all I'm trying to do with the story is to provide a backdrop for the gameplay. So I don't want anything in the story that would screw up the gameplay. I just want things that would facilitate the game down the road. And I think having the concept of the Soul Stone, you have mages, you have craftspeople, you have warriors, you have people in authority. It could be the queen, and so on, in the story. And then all of those things can either be AIs or players in the game. And how they get there in the game would be sort of rooted in the way things work in the story, but it doesn't have to be exactly the same.
What if getting the bonding with a Soul Stone and becoming a class actually changed your character? So it changed the physical thing. Just, you know, it's kind of like my idea that they'd be born a class. If we weren't doing that, we could still have them take on those physical roles of being you know, a fighter that's half again as big or something. But from a gameplay standpoint, it's probably better that the Soul Stone chooses the class, even though I hate to say that because I really like the other idea. But
well, you know, nothing would stop someone, depending on how we structured the way you get in, from quitting and coming back until they, if in fact the game to a certain extent chose their role for them. That doesn't have to. But if it did, that nothing stopped someone from coming back until they get the role they want. All I'm trying to do is create roles that people would have, and how they get them in the game is somewhat different. I don't think we would necessarily want to say that the stone itself determined what you were. We could do that, but I would think that in the story, our young lady, she's starting out, she doesn't really know what the hell her stone is about, or where it's taking her. She can't get it to do much. She compensates by being a really good athlete and really good at her martial arts. So that's part of the story. We can change that if that gets in the way of the gameplay. So those are some of the things we need to talk about now.
The thing, like you said, we want the comic book to work hand in hand with the game, but at the same time, we don't have to worry about the comic book and game mechanics at the moment. Have her do her martial arts, have her do X, Y, and Z, then later on we can come up with proper game mechanics.
Yeah, that's getting into NATO territory. Design.
I mean, stories change too. If you look at the original Superman comic, there's very little relationship to what we think of as Superman today.
And I think part of that has to do with the audience. One of the classic examples, going back to the Avengers movie here with Captain America, and he's like, Stars and Stripes, is that still relevant today? And of course, Captain America it is. But my little girl and I were talking about opposite. She's like, what's the opposite of happy? I'm like, sad. What's the opposite of up? I'm like, down. I'm like, what's the opposite of Batman? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, Superman. There's definitely opposites. And Superman's definitely changed throughout the day. And that's okay. We can embrace those changes. We just have to keep in mind what our target audience is going to be and what we're trying to convey. And when we have that meeting, the big meeting with Buzz, he can tell us how far he wants to push one way or the other and help us understand the audience that he wants to connect with.
If I could interrupt and just make a suggestion to Steve, as
Yay.
I'm really liking what I'm seeing. What I envisioned, one side or one area was where the parents and the magister, who was the mage for that particular, for the parents' clan, where they stood, and then the people. So you might want to have some kind of a little stand or ceremonial gate or something like that, just in one spot. That would be where the primary people in the ceremony sort of start the ceremony from.
All right, we can do that.
And of course, as always, I want to invite, real quick, I want to make sure that other people, if they have questions, I encourage you to open your hand or raise your hand, whatever it is, so we can get you involved. Anybody say anything in BuzzNet there, Nelson?
Talking something about the Holy Trinity.
Okay, the Trinity, okay. Holy Trinity, are we going to have where you have to have a DPS, you have to have healing, you have to have a tank? And Mr. Ray may not understand that. Whenever you have a tank, the tank absorbs most of the damage. You have that sort of character class. And DPS is damage per second. Usually that is like a thief or a magic user throwing small spells. It's not a lot of damage, but lots of damage over time. And then you have to have a healer to be able to heal your party. That's called the Trinity. And are we going to have the Trinity involved in all this? What do you think, Nelson? This is a game mechanics question.
Yeah, that's more game mechanics.
I'd love to break away from freaking the Trinity.
But I mean, we've had a lot of discussions before in the past about it, and it's a very difficult thing to accomplish.
I mean, I know in Star Wars where they had, like, you have your own med kits and you can heal yourself with this and that. I mean, we could have healing stones where you'd be I don't know. I've not thought that far ahead. That's a great question. Do we have any news on the design team, Nelson?
Not right now. I'm going to be getting with people at some point soon.
Okay. And for those listening right now, what we're going to do is all the art leads and myself will have a meeting with the design leads. What we're going to do is present what we have in story and art to the design team, and then the design team can say, okay, we could do it this way, or that way. They can interject ideas, but the story, this is our side. This is our baby. Don't break anybody's fingers on the design team that tries to change our stuff. This is our side. But we have to respect the design guys. We cannot come up with these weird freaking ideas that we just can't do. So again, the right hand needs to know what the left hand's doing. We have to work together, if that makes sense. Why, yes, Derek, it makes perfect sense. Let me tell you about your mom. Good.
Well, yes, Steve, I have great ideas on what you should be doing right now. Let me speak up.
That's a great idea, Steve. Speak up. Then I'll tell you about your mom.
Not me, them.
I'm sorry, them. Anybody got any questions?
I have a thought.
Yes.
Okay. What if right now we're talking about the soul stones, as the Lethean who wants one picks one, right? But and whatever one they get will work with them. What if there has, it's a kind of a symbiotic relationship? What if that has to kind of agree with them? So maybe a mage wouldn't pick a warrior, one that's geared for a warrior. It like wouldn't bond with them, right, or something. I mean, that's not a gameplay.
Well, for game mechanics, you're right, because
it's for the story or comic or something.
Well, in the story, if you'll remember, you have this 1 or 2 year old baby on his hands and knees, and the stones are in front of it. It's attracted to the stones, but it's attracted to one in particular. And so there's some kind of an unspoken communication going on between the child and the stone. Like in the specific we're talking about, where this hooded stranger throws a 5th stone into the ring, our heroine instantly is drawn to it and grabs it. I mean, it really calls to her. Now, by the time she's a teenager, she thinks she made a terrible mistake because she can't get it to do crap. But at the time, I mean, it struck her like lightning. Whoa, that's my stone.
Right, guys, real quick,
what if a stone? Okay.
Because we're already over time. What I want us to do is, okay, environmental team, what you've been doing has been great, but here's what I need of you. I need you to draw me a marketplace. I need both you, Steve, and Doug, to refine this particular area right here for the first scene. Character designs. I want children now. That sounds so weird. I'm not saying it in a weird way. I want you to design children. I kind of like the long legs. I don't know if I like the long legs compared to the long torso. Let's start concentrating on children. I believe we've nailed what the male Alethean will look like, the female Alethean. Let's look for the children. So we're going to do nothing but children type. I'll do all the faces. Sid, you do the body poses. Wolf, what I'd like for you to do is design different tattoos. I guess tattoos for the kids, or spots and this and that. And if you have any other of your ideas, that would be great. You've done some fantastic work tonight. And what we'll do is, I know, Mr. Ray, you've got tons of ideas, and I apologize we got to you late. What I'd encourage you and Wolf to do is definitely Skype, work out some ideas, because you're right, we need it concrete now. This is the part of the phase where we can still incorporate some ideas, but the comic book's got to move forward. The comic book inevitably is going to draw a lot or drive a lot of the story. So those are the assignments. I want to close out with, I want to ask Steve how he's doing, get some of his thoughts on what he's doing, then we'll open it up for questions and we'll close it out for the night. So Steve, back to you. Tell us, I mean, we're all watching what you're doing. Like, yay, Steve's doing a great job. Oh, Steve messed up. Erase it. No,
yeah,
Steve did great.
Steve was really hoping that somebody was going to speak up and say, hey, put this thing over here. But so I've just kind of been freehanding, throwing stuff up there, seeing what sticks. kind of threw out the idea of the standing stones, like you would see at Stonehenge or a lot of other religious sites that were kind of earthy based, as I would imagine them being, since they're working with these stones. Somewhere along the line, as I made this kind of little alcove around where they picked the stones, I kind of started putting water into it. Kind of envisioned almost like a baptismal thing where the child crawls through this very shallow pool of water and cleanses themselves before they choose their stone.
Hey, Steve, the reason Stonehenge was built in that location was it's actually the center of many of the ley lines of the Earth. So
Indeed it is.
maybe we could work that into the story somehow. Maybe that's a specific magical area for them.
Well, remember, every village is going to have, and city is going to have its bonding place. You can't have every Elethian on the planet come to this one spot.
Yeah, but
the ley lines crisscross everywhere. So
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that would work then.
yeah, it's a really common thing actually.
And they might even build their towns around places where those lines crisscross.
Exactly.
And they'd be great for PvP points. Can you imagine this from game mechanics? You're with your certain queen, because we're kind of breaking it down like that. And you're like, okay, Queen A, Queen B, let's go take Queen C's ley line area over. You defeat that, and I guess can like pull up your mana points for your team for X amount of time, as long as you have control of it. That might be kind of cool.
The battlegrounds
Hey,
in
Derek?
WoW.
Yeah, what? What? Where? Who?
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to ask, what resolution would you like the character sheets? You said you want me to
Do 300 DPI and send it to it as a JPEG. I'll convert it to a TIFF, which is not ideally
But I mean,
ideal.
the size of it. It's like inches is fine too.
Just play around with it, whatever. I'm going to ultimately put it in like 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 8.5 sort of area, and then have it blown up to whatever I can afford to do at Kinko's.
the 300 DPI is the most important, just because we do want to print them for buzz.
And DPI, for those who don't know, it stands for dots per inch. A lot of times on the web, you save it at 72 DPI, 72 dots per inch, which means there's not a lot of detail there. It looks good in the web because, well, it shrunk down, blah, 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 blah. If you try to go in close, it pixelates everything. But for print purposes, you need 300 DPI, and you saved it to TIFF format. But because my computer, I don't want to screw it up, and I don't have a zip drive, blah, 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 just do it 300 DPI, and save it as a JPEG, and I'll work on my end, and I'll rearrange everything so I can get it to Kinko's.
Would you? How about if I do one with it's just a line of or all grouped of forward facing, and then another page of side facing.
So I don't want that. I want them all.
You want them all together?
All together. Say that like the white guy with the brown areas. I want them together so Buzz can say in one read, "Oh, that's what that." It gives them almost a 3D image.
Okay, and I could put them closer together. They're a little spaced out. Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions from anybody?
Not that I see.
You guys stink. You need to ask questions. I cannot see. I don't have BuzzNet open. I don't have it open. So I want to hear from you. This is your class as well. Mr. Ray, do you have any departing words of wisdom?
Just a couple of things real quick. Whoever was on last week's, I have to say that I loved the one panel that was shown.
Chelsea, not Sid, Chelsea. I got the names right.
Chelsea's panel. And what I loved about it was the look on the faces. We can change. I don't care what these creatures look like. They could have 3 limbs and eyes in their belly. if they can relate to each other. Someone can sneer, someone can laugh, someone can look lovingly, someone can be embarrassed. That's all I'm looking for. The story, within the story, people have to have those kinds of ability to show emotion. And I loved what I saw on the last one. So we might change the physique of the folks that were in that a little bit, but that was dead on in terms of capturing the emotions. So
Awesome.
The other thing is, I would love for people to go, I'm going to post a list of scenes, which should be helpful for Steve, to go along with the list of characters. People want to take a shot at, well, I think this character looks like that, or this other character looks like something else, or, well, here's how I would do the scene where the bridge is across the canyon. Love to have that. Or if you have ideas, how about the questions, anything about the storyline, suggestions. Wolf has had plenty of them. I can't believe he's the only guy out there with ideas. He has lots of them, but I'd love to get as many people as possible involved in this. And anyway, that's my say.
I agree. Is Chelsea still fart?
Sydney.
There's a buck, Sydney. There's $1, Sydney. I owe you $1. Sid, do you have any thoughts?
For the characters, I was wondering, because you said you like the long legs, I did, but you also like the longer torso for the male. Maybe that could be something that really specifies the gender differences. Maybe the females have shorter torsos and long legs, while the males have really long torsos and shorter legs.
I got to say, as a male, I do love long legs on a chick. All guys are like, yeah, rock on, Derek.
Oh, and I have to say that Sid, I loved especially the action stuff you did. It's just
Thank
great.
you.
Sydney, you're going to make children, draw children,
Yeah.
Elysians, right? So, Derek, did you envision when she's done with that, she could send me the thing and then I could make marks on him?
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a great way to cut down workload and stuff. If Sid can knock down what the actual look would look like, then do your color and shading and markings to it, I think that'd be a perfect workload.
Yeah, that could work well.
And can't you make a transparent background if you do a PNG?
Yeah, I can send you PNG files.
I mean, but without the white background, so maybe I could just use, so I wouldn't have to draw over it. I could just use that like a color and, okay.
Yeah, I could just send you the PNG file with all the different layers so you could do whatever you wanted to it.
Awesome. I love it. I feel like Hannibal from the A-Team. I love it when a plan comes together. I need to smoke a cigar now. And Nelson, when I come down, we're drinking and I'm smoking a cigar in my bunny outfit, or not bunny outfit, my bunny slippers and cowboy hat.
Sounds good.
I want to scare you, Steve, but it's true. It's true what I say. I'm going to bring a thong for you, too.
Please
All
don't.
I can't.
Wow.
Wow.
Good old Curtis family support. I knew it would show up.
Yeah, no kidding. Please don't. Please don't. I don't want to say my dad. You know what, says, I do not blame you at all. Don't blame you at all.
Neither do I.
Hey, listen, with this said, we've come a very long way in a short amount of time for the MMO. I really believe we've nailed down the Elysians, what they are going to look like. Once we get this children aspect of it, we're going to move on to something else. I think we're going to have one hell of a meeting with Buzz, and that is, 2 weeks away. We'll be there on the 4th or 5th of next month. We'll definitely record it. We'll have some snippets online about it. And what I'm really anxious for is I want to learn about the mounts that they can or may not have. I'm also anxious to maybe start playing around with the human side, because right now there's only one side. That is the good side. That is the Elysian side until I'm a human. and you put me on the human side, then that's the good side. Then I'm fighting savages. Seriously, tall, stupid, brainiac savages. They all need to die. I need a head on my wall, an Alethian head. That'd be great. And one of the kneecaps from the women that I kill, I'm going to make as a pencil holder. I'm just saying, that's my mindset. I could be totally wrong later.
Mm-hmm.
Probably should have said all that. Edit that out, okay, Nelson?
Will do.
Thank you. Last chance. We have a lot more people in this class, and I love it. And again, I can't see BuzzNet because they have so much going on. I just don't have it up. Last chance for questions and comments. Please ask. I won't bite.
Let's see here. I sculpt a female character during the show for concept if you want to see it, from Wayne McAvery.
Hell yeah, let's see it, baby.
Yeah, bring it up.
Alrighty, and we are jumping into Wayne.
Nice.
Nice.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if my microphone worked. Yeah, during the show, I was sitting
During
here
the show?
sculpting.
You did this during
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah, I can't draw for crap, but give me on a sculpting program, and yeah, I'm with it.
I just pooped myself, seriously.
The hand, I hadn't got to the hands or feet yet. They're kind of tough, but yeah, a lot of the details still really rough. I mean, this is 2 hours, so
You did sculpt it during the show.
yeah. But
Hey, Wayne, where do you live? What state do you live in?
currently, I'm embarrassed to say, but Arkansas.
Well, you know what? I'm going to come to your house and beat your ass now because you just really showed us all up, okay? So give me a couple hours to take a nap. I'm an old man, but then schedule yourself in for an ass whooping, okay?
That bad, huh?
I'm impressed.
Dude,
Let me ask
nice.
you something. I would love to incorporate your talent and skills. Right now, Mr. Ray, and I don't know if he's had time to do it, but he did a kick-ass sculpt for my image planes. And I encourage you to use the image planes that I have. I think they're on 3D Buzz. If not, I definitely put them up there. But we need modelers. Would you be interested in something like that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, here. If you have a pen and paper, I'm going to give you my email address. You ready for this?
Give me 1 second.
It's Bunny Slippers, Sexy Stud, Derek. I'm teasing.
What is it?
It is Stevens, STEVENS, D as in Delta, 71 @gmail.com. And this goes for everybody out there right now. Feel free to email me. But if I can get you, Mr. Ray, and you can throw more work at Steve doing 3D work, okay, I hate you and I'll love you all. I'll get back into Maya myself. We need the art side, we need the design side, we need, and Nelson's side, who's doing all the programming to make this dream come to life. But you did one hell of a job, dude. 2 hours. And I'm not being a pervert. I'm not being just a guy, but I love the pictorial range
I
here.
was trying to go for a slightly longer torso like we were discussing, but wasn't quite as long as I was hoping.
Oh, that was pretty good.
I love it. How many polygons you got there?
Looks like 1.4 million.
Oh, a couple million. We'll bake some stuff in and throw some stuff out and make a loaf.
Oh, yeah, I can retopologize it and bring it down to a couple hundred.
That'd be great. The lower the better. I still want detail. And actually, I'm sorry.
That's what normal maps are for, so.
Amen. I take that all back. I defer to Nelson. He's the brainiac, the man, the myth. Whatever he says goes. That's what.
Also, I was also wondering with the storyline, who are we battling?
The humans, the evil humans.
Because
Right,
I was
humans
thinking
and
about,
Shadow.
And each other.
Maybe adding something to the story. What if the Elethians, keep their storyline? Let's say they were forced from their planet by a third race, an evil all-encompassing, ruling, trying to enslave everyone race. The Elethians, on their way running, hit Earth, who kind of team up because, humans, we all know, are really good at fighting, especially each other. So kind of team up and try to fight this third alien. That way, with gameplay, you can pick human or Elethian, and everybody is kind of common goaling against a third alien, probably mostly like an NPC, non-player characters, but
We definitely discuss it, and that's an interesting point of view from it. Right now, what we've been building is kind of a World of Warcraft thing where you have the Alliance versus the Horde, and in this case, the Elethians versus the humans. And I would like to have a third race that would be the NPCs. The way I perceived it, the humans come to this planet for whatever reason. That's why we're really trying to build the Elethians up first, their culture, their planet, their environments. And then we'll do the whole human thing, where they're at, what it looks like. And then I like to have a third entity where they can work with either side. Because like the Americans, we worked with the French-Indian War. I mean, we switched sides, jumped sides to this and that. I'd like to have a third entity work both sides against each other. I think it makes some really cool role-playing and some good quest ideas.
okay, I was just trying to picture gameplay, everyone fighting each other. A lot of World of Warcraft fighting, lower level people are always having a hard time. But if everybody was fighting non-player characters leveling up with chances to, compete against each other, sometimes people like that a little better. Just something to keep in mind.
No, it's just a great idea. Hey, Nelson, let me ask you something.
Hey.
Was it Rift that did this? I think it was Rift, wherever you... God, I hope it's Rift. But you had low-level characters with high-level characters. Maybe it's Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2. Low-level, high-level characters, they all came together and they had a huge-ass monster. And they kind of like all made everything even for that particular instance. That way you don't have low-level characters getting their asses kicked to them every time they try to do something.
Right.
That's a nice thought, by the way, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, that sounds more like some game design stuff. It would have to be stuff that we'd have to think about.
Can you give me a soft target date when the design team will be up and running?
Probably ask me during the radio show. I'll have it done by then.
Hey, when's the next radio show? We can announce that.
Yeah, this Friday.
Wow, okay. Then I have my anatomy class right after, correct?
Yeah, I think what we're going to do is have the radio show an hour earlier than usual.
Okay, I have a special guest I want to talk to you about. I might as well throw it out now. His name's David Miller from Imaginary Studios. Has done tons of stuff, and I was talking to him about you in 3D Buzz. He's like, I'd love to be a special guest. I didn't know if that was all possible to do, but it might be interesting.
Yeah.
Man, a few words, I love you for it. All right, email me, stevensd71@gmail.com. Get on the forums, jump in there. We want your ideas. We continue to flesh out the world, and I look at the beautiful, gorgeous green button in front of me. If I was Captain James T. Kirk, T for Tiberius, I would be all over that schnaz. But I'm not, so live long and prosper.
Okay, well, thank you.
Hey, rock on. Well done. Put that on the forums for us, okay?
I will do that.
I'm proud of you and glad to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Indubitably. Last thoughts, anyone?
And it goes quiet. All right, yeah, Richard says, I'd love to contribute. Hold on, I'm going to mute you. Wayne, sorry. You're echoing real bad. Richard says, I'd love to contribute. Unfortunately, I don't have a mic up and running at work. I've been writing everything down, though, for later discussion. So there will be feedback in the future.
Great. And that's what we want. We want feedback. There's no such thing as a bad idea at this time. I encourage everyone to give feedback. Do it constructively. I like the sandwich approach where I like this, blah, blah, blah. I feel that you could work on X, Y, and Z, but you know what? You really did this great. This is learning experience. We have artists of all sorts of levels and capabilities. We have hungry people who really want to create. And I don't care if you can draw a stick figure, if you can convey ideas. We have plenty of artists out there who are great, and we will make your vision come true. And with that said, Mr. Ray, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
I have one thing to say to Ray, unless you want me to hold on.
No, go ahead, real quick.
Ray, what? Well, if you said real quick, I'll just. Ray, why don't you PM me your Skype?
Yeah, I saw your note about that, and I will do that.
All right.
Mr. Wolf Knightley, I love and respect you. You're one awesome dude. Steve Curtis, I can't say enough about you, and I won't. Ty, you're a dork. Sid, I got your name right for once. Chelsea's not here, but I'm working with her for the Netherlands game as we're talking here and doing this stuff. Doug, I love your work. Keep it up. Mr. Wayne went to Spain, lost his brain in a hurricane. Had a neighbor I made fun of when I was little, so I remember that. But I'm not making fun of you, Wayne. You're awesome. I appreciate everybody else here. Keep your feet on the ground, your ankles slightly above them. Remember to sign up for the anatomy class. Starts this Friday at 9 Central. We'll have a radio show before that. So we're going to have lots and lots of fun. And then you guys will all be flies on the wall at the meeting at the 3D Buzz Cave, the 4th or 5th of next month. Anyway, with that said, you guys be good, and we have our arts assignments. Let's go draw hard, draw big. We're out.